have exaggerations or views about some of what we'll call peripheral issues. We're talking here about going head to head to the central theme of the gospel. And when I say gospel, I mean that theme that God has laid out from Genesis chapter 3 to the end. And that's why these assertions, these claims are anti-biblical, not just non-biblical, anti-biblical, and are dangerous.
We read in Revelation concerning Jesus, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals. For you were slain and have redeemed us to God by your blood." And throughout the Bible, God reiterates that He alone is the Redeemer. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is His name, the Holy One of Israel. In addition to these anti-biblical assertions, the Apparition of Mary claims to suffer and even atone for sins.
I love you even when you are far away from me and my son. I ask you not to allow my heart to shed tears of blood because of the souls who are being lost through sin. For a long time I have suffered for you. If I do not want my son to abandon you, I am forced to pray to him myself without ceasing. You pay no heed. However much you would do, you could never recompense the pain I have taken for you. I boldly assert that his suffering became my suffering, because his heart was mine. And just as Adam and Eve sold the world for an apple, so in a certain sense, my son and I redeemed the world with one heart.
In many of the apparitions that people are getting today of Mary, she claims to suffer and atone with Jesus. That is not biblical, because the Bible declares that Christ has suffered for our sins. In fact, when he died, he said, "It is finished." He has paid our sins and our suffering completely on the cross.
Peter writes, "For Christ also suffered once for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but made alive by the Spirit." And the book of Hebrews states that Jesus, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down at the right hand of God, from that time waiting till his enemies are made his footstool. For by one offering he has perfected forever those who are being sanctified. There is no longer an offering for sin.
I've often heard Roman Catholic people and prelates teaching that Mary was suffering for sin, but by saying that they fail to understand what it means to suffer.
Hi, welcome back. Ray, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Ray.
Let me get this. I can't find here. It is. I gotta turn my TV down. Excuse me. Okay. Now, I've talked to you before, but could I guess maybe you don't? You said you didn't understand Daniel 8, the little horn. Daniel 7 and 8 was the Catholic Church.
Well, we didn't say we didn't understand. We said we had a slightly different opinion, and that's very difficult to understand. It's not an essential of the faith to understand things that are kind of difficult. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, if you could understand this, I'd like to talk to you personally, and could give a lecture on it. It may put the Catholic Church where it is scripturally, and that may be a great emphasis to many people that hear you.
Well, we already have put the Catholic Church, because God has put it there, it contradicts His Word.
True.
The teachings of the Catholic Church contradict His Word. God does not contradict Himself. Therefore, they are not teaching God's true word. And that's really all one needs to know. We don't have to emphasize, the little horn or anything. And I have no intention to do so, Ray. Really.
Okay.
But I appreciate your good effort. I just don't feel led to do that.
Ray, before
this is scripturally identified. Go ahead.
What the horn does represent is power. That much we know. I tend to stick with Revelation 17 through 19 about the whore of Babylon, who rides the beast, the woman that rides the beast. That represents the Catholic Church. If you take all the attributes and descriptions of who that woman is, who sits, a city that sits on 7 hills and dressed in scarlet and purple, it's very clear that passage there represents a Catholic Church.
You're right. Now, Daniel 7 and 8 also